Four-time NFL MVP and Steelers quarterback target Aaron Rodgers just dropped a major hint in terms of what his future will hold heading into the 2025 NFL season. Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Before we get into what Rodgers said at a little Q&A today with his buddy that we'll talk about here in just a second, we actually put out the news on X earlier today, where you guys can check that out at Jack_Sperry. The video that was originally posted was put out by us. So if you guys want extensive Steelers content and breaking news action on X, you can find us at Jack_Sperry. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. So the major hint that was dropped by Aaron Rodgers today is that the team that he's going to be playing for is going to be playing a road game versus the Chicago Bears in 2025. This happened at a event where what's the name of the artist? Mike Stud is the artist's name. He's a music artist that Rodgers is a fan of and his buddies with, and he was doing a Q&A at his event. Mike is on tour right now. It was held in Austin, Texas, and a question came up about whether or not he would play for the Bears at some point during his NFL career, and Rodgers' response was very, very telling. This is what he had to say. "No, but I believe there's a team they might play in Chicago this year. Little road trip. I don't know, not sure. We'll check it out. I love Chicago, though, way more than they love me. Been a great relationship all one way." So essentially, Rodgers is alluding to the fact that the team that he's going to go play for is going to be playing a road game in Chicago this year. And lo and behold, the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing the Chicago Bears this year in Week 12 in late November. Another person at the event straight up asked Aaron Rodgers if he's going to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and his response was, quote, "You never know." So he's definitely not shutting it down. He's definitely playing into all the excitement and all the hoopla and all this different stuff surrounding the ambiguity of when he is going to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, when I put this video out on Twitter earlier today, a lot of people responded with, "But Jack, the Vikings and the Saints also play in Chicago this year. He could be talking about either one of those teams." Well, I really don't think that that's the case, guys, because I think if it was the Vikings, he would have alluded to the fact that they play the Bears twice this year and not just say play them on the road. And then the Saints have already come out and said very plainly they're not interested in adding Aaron Rodgers. They just drafted Tyler Shuck, who's probably going to be their starting quarterback this year. They're a rebuilding team. It doesn't really make sense for Rodgers to go to a rebuilding team, and it doesn't really make sense for a rebuilding team to sign a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. So no, I do not expect Rodgers to sign with the Vikings or the Saints. It's either Steelers or retirement, and the fact that he's alluding to signing with a team that's going to be playing in Chicago this year on a road trip certainly points to him most likely signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason, and he's going to be their next starting quarterback in 2025, most likely. Now, obviously, anything can happen. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is just getting our hopes up so that he can play the villain and retire at the last moment, and we're stuck with Mason Rudolph and Will Howard, and maybe they trade for Kirk Cousins or something like that. But I don't think that's going to be the case, guys. For me, the question when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, and it's been this way for a little while now, is when, not if. I do believe that, there's a certain point in this offseason where he feels comfortable signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's certainly a reason why he hasn't signed yet, whether that's to miss OTAs, whether that's, he's got some personal issues that he's dealing with. All that stuff is certainly possible and even likely at this point, and he just feels like he doesn't want to sign on the dotted line until he's ready to lock in for the 2025 season. That's very frustrating as a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I'm here to tell you guys right now that I feel very, very confident that Aaron Rodgers will be the Steelers' starting quarterback when we head into the 2025 regular season. So coming up here on Steelers Talk, we'll go over the latest reporting on Aaron Rodgers. There's a new report from Mark Kaboli as to when you can expect Rodgers to sign on the dotted line for your Pittsburgh Steelers. But before we get into the rest of today's video, we may not be able to give you guys Aaron Rodgers jerseys just yet from our friends at Fanatics, but you guys can get his top weapon here, DK Metcalf's jerseys. He's going to be wearing number 4 for the black and gold here. Of course, he's the new $30 million per season man here in Pittsburgh. And if you guys want to get his jersey today and you want to help out the channel, you can do so by going to chatsports.com/DK. That's our special link. If you click that link in the comments and description of today's show and you make a purchase, Fanatics sends us part of the proceeds. So it helps out our channel. It helps us keep the lights on and pay rent and pay for all the equipment that we use and all that stuff. Plus, you get a brand new Steelers jersey with, of course, Metcalf's name on the back. So go to chatsports.com/DK if you haven't already. And thank you guys so much for all of your support. Okay, now let's get into Kaboly's report here, where he said that Rodgers is not expected to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers for the early portion of organized team activities, otherwise known as OTAs. If you didn't know, Steelers OTAs begin next Tuesday, and according to Kaboly, Rodgers is probably not going to make his announcement before the start of OTAs. This is what Kaboly has to say. It would be a surprise to me that he would show up to OTAs. I do think we will see him at minicamp on June 10th. Now, it certainly begs the question, because mandatory minicamp, in terms of, what goes on at minicamp versus what goes on at OTAs, it's pretty much the exact same thing. It's just one, it's voluntary, and one, it's technically mandatory for the people on the roster. So if you're not going to show up, to some OTAs, why would you feel like it's important to go to the mandatory minicamp? That doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But also, if I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm going to be a new quarterback and I'm going to try to make the most of my time in Pittsburgh, why not show up to all the OTAs? Why not make this announcement like this weekend or something like that? Sign your contract on Monday and then be ready to practice with a helmet on Tuesday when OTAs begin. I think that would be the best thing. And if I were in Aaron Rodgers' shoes and I was heading into probably just one season with a new team and I wanted to get on the same page with my new center and my new receivers and my new play caller and the offensive line and all those guys, I would want to be there for every single opportunity I could be there at practice with those guys. And my worry here is if Kaboly's report is correct here, where he's not going to sign by the time OTAs start next week, what's stopping him from skipping mandatory minicamp as well? Like I said, it is pretty much the same exact format as OTAs. And if he doesn't want to participate in the OTAs, you would kind of think that he doesn't really want to participate in the mandatory minicamp either, which might be the reason why he's waiting so long to sign, because if he's not on the roster, the team can't fine him for not being at mandatory minicamp, right? So I actually think there's a chance he could sign shortly after mandatory minicamp, somewhere around June 13th through June 15th. I certainly think that's a possibility as well. But as I've been saying on the show for a while, I just don't know when Rodgers is going to sign. He could sign this weekend. He could sign just before OTAs next Monday. He could sign, right before minicamp. He could sign right after minicamp. He could sign in July. The ambiguity of when Rodgers' timing on this offseason is a complete mystery to me. There's a bunch of different reports out there. I don't know what to believe, but the thing that I do know and that I do feel pretty darn strong about is that Rodgers is going to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers at some point this offseason. I've got probably over a 90% probability that is going to be the case at some point this offseason. It's just a matter of when, not if, in my opinion. And of course, hopefully, he just signs by Tuesday. So he's there for all the OTAs. We can finally stop all the speculation and we can just move forward knowing that he is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback heading into 2025. So let me know down there in the comments section, when, if at all, will Aaron Rodgers sign with the Steelers this year? Do you think he signs with Pittsburgh this year? Does his comments at that Q&A, kind of shift your perspective on that? Let me know what your guys' thoughts are down there in the comments section. And make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter as well. I broke the video on X earlier on Steelers Twitter today, so you guys can check me out on Twitter at Jack_Sperry if you want more breaking news action on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I really do appreciate all of your guys' support. We got more Steelers content coming your way throughout the weekend. And of course, if Rodgers signs this weekend, Coop and I will be ready with a live show for you guys. So click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.